Hey everyone, and welcome to the first inaugural Brothers Broadcast.
World premiere.
Today with us is Jennifer Singley of KW Philly.
Hey.
Jen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, so Jeff and I want to dive into a couple questions here with you.
A little bit of a Q&A roundtable discussion, right, guys?
Yeah.
Jen, if you get us started here, just let us know how you got into real estate.
Well, it's funny you ask. I was peer pressured by my stepbrothers to purchase a property when I was 24 or 25. I actually don't remember which age, but did not have a very high salary at the time, did not have good savings, but was peer pressured by some young mortgage lenders into buying a home because I was told it would be a good investment. Luckily it was. And I enjoyed the process. I probably enjoyed it a little too much. I think my realtor at the time probably hated me. I really.
Shout out to Brittany Gunning.
Shout out to
Brittany Gunning.
Yeah,
That's
she
right.
really,
Brittany, if you're watching, great job.
Yeah,
you got her in the business.
Yeah, I really put her through it though. Tried the renovation loan thing. Had a house under appraised, so I had 2 deals fall through until I finally had 20 days to spare before my lease was up. Yeah. Had to just find a house and just went with it. Totally
different market then when you bought compared to where it is now.
Yeah, it was very different. It was still a little bit difficult though. Like it wasn't all like, it wasn't a buyer's market by any means, but it wasn't,
No, but the fact that through that period of time, I don't remember when you started, but to be under contract on 3 properties versus trying to get under contract on a property.
That's crazy. Yeah. And then how I actually got my license was hanging out with you guys. If someone tells me I won't do something, I will then do it. So you said you won't get your real estate license. So I took my credit card out and signed up for the classes.
I do remember that, sitting on the couch.
And then I wasn't going to waste that money. So then I took the courses and here we are.
How much longer after you bought till you then got in?
I think like a year and a half, maybe a year. Maybe it was like a year later once I got through like the initial money investment of purchasing my first home with not a huge savings account.
Yep.
Would I have even, I was very tight with money at the time. So I think it took me a full another year. And then when you guys were like, oh, you won't buy the classes. I was like, yeah, I'll spend $350 on my credit card.
Yep.
And then that's when I did it.
And do you still live in that house today?
I do not.
So you sold that house?
No, I have tenants living in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're wonderful. And 2 girls, just like me and my old roommate. And they've got a cat, just like me and my old roommate. So it brings me joy.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, have you sold any of the properties that you've bought?
I would never.
And how many do you have collectively now?
Now I have 3 single families and 1 multifamily.
Okay.
And so Jeff and I just last week did a couple of videos. I don't know if you caught them on our Facebook page.
Oh, I saw them. Yeah, of course.
But big believers in, holding and not selling.
Yep.
Pulling the equity out, using that then to buy something else.
Yep.
Versus dumping the property and not having it as an investment.
Yes.
I also am curious of, obviously I know this stuff, right? But I'm curious of your mindset because I do remember when you closed on that first one, how little you did actually have left over.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of clients would not be comfortable leaving what you had left in your account.
Yes.
So what was it going through your head at that time that it just didn't bother you?
I am a risk taker. I also know that if I was in a hole and needed a repair that I had a high credit limit on my credit cards. So like all my credit cards were always paid off, but like I had, I think 12 grand to spend on one and 8 grand on another. So I'm like, what could really happen right now that would cost me more than 20 grand?
Okay.
So that was like kind of my buffer. Also, obviously I had a home inspection. I negotiated some seller's assist. So, I don't know, I knew based upon the home inspection, which things might fail, how much they might cost, and when they might fail. I probably had some of the worst things that could happen to you happen with the house. I had to get a new roof, which I had some weird guy in Fishtown do, and it was only $1,800, so that was pretty sweet. And then I had a gas leak, so PGW came out in the middle of winter and was like, we're changing your meter. I was like, okay, cool. And then they're like, no, we're turning your gas off because you have a gas leak. So then I had to get that fixed too. But besides that, like, it hasn't been that expensive.
How did you go about acquiring the next ones then? Did you take out a line of credit on that property? Did you just save more money to buy the next ones? Like, as far as going from 1 to 4, what was your
Save.
process?
So after I bought my first, lived in it for a while, then got into real estate. Once I was in real estate, it really took off, and I made a lot more money in real estate than I was making on my salary job. So I didn't want to just let it sitting in my bank account. So the second property, I said, I have this money sitting in my bank account. I don't really know how to invest in other things. I don't know anything besides real estate. I don't really know how to go dump money into stocks or anything like that. So if you know real estate, that's what you do. Yeah. So that's how I bought my second single family in the Passyunk area in South Philly. And then after that, I purchased, during the pandemic, me and my fiance, we purchased a multifamily, which was actually a property that he was renting out of. So he was the commercial tenant in a triplex, and I was friendly with the agent who owned it at the time. And he obviously, through being her tenant, was friendly with her too. So he always joked with her. We're like, ha ha ha, Julie, if you ever want to sell this, like, let us know. And it was a block away from our house that we were living in at the time. And during the pandemic, she was like, yeah, if you guys are serious about buying it, throw an offer at me. So we looked at comps in the area. We threw an offer at her. It was a very slow process. She wasn't listing it for real. She didn't even really know if she wanted to sell it, but we threw an offer at her. We kind of negotiated back and forth maybe for 2 months. It was a very slow roll. And we ended up settling on a price. And do you want to talk about the financing on that? It gets kind of tricky. It was a little unconventional.
Because that's a commercial property, and I always forget that Travis is operating out.
Yeah, it was a commercial property. Anyways, we pulled a line of credit against our stuff we had in our investment account. I didn't really deal with financing on that.
Yep. Yeah, I forgot about that aspect of it.
Yes, so that one got a little confusing. Yeah. And then the fourth one is my primary residence.
So what they did there, for those who are, all of our people who are listening here, they took out, what these banks will allow you to do, if you have enough assets under management, they'll allow you to take out what's called a liquidity access line of credit. And what you can do is you can take out a loan and lien it against the liquid holdings that you have in that particular brokerage account. So here, again, what we have discussed in the past is utilization of other people's money, where they were able to borrow money from, in this particular case, Raymond James, lean it against their own money to purchase this real estate, but didn't have to liquidate or touch a dollar of their own money in turn.
Yeah.
And then the final property.
Is my primary residence. This is the second time I failed at doing a renovation loan. I failed first in 2015 on my first property, failed the second time in 2021. So we bought a house here in Conshohocken and have been renovating it for almost a whole year, and finally moved in 3 weeks ago. So that's my primary, and I will also never sell this house once we outgrow it.
So another fact I think it's important we touch on here, you've purchased 4 properties. What down payment did you have on each one of them? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but 3 of those houses, because you were open to moving, where you took advantage of very low down payment financing.
Yeah. So FHA on my first house, conventional on my second, the third one was a commercial loan.
Which you have to put 20,
Yep, and then conventional 5% down on my most recent primary.
So I think it's important to touch on the fact that, some people in the business can relate to this, to house hacking, from the standpoint of being open to moving frequently and taking advantage of continuing to purchase new primary residences so that you're able to utilize minimum down payment.
Yes.
Because buying 4 properties with 20% down as opposed to buying 3 with 3 to 5% down.
Yeah.
It's what it allows people to put together a portfolio without having access to a ton of capital.
Yep, which is why I am the biggest proponent of my clients who are like, oh, well, I can't afford a house that I want right now. And I'm like, well, just buy a house. It doesn't have to be the perfect house, because just buy something now and buy it with 3% down. And in 2 or 3 years, buy something larger when you have saved more money, because your mortgage could be less than what you're paying in rent right now. You could also maybe pull out the equity on the house in those 3 years, or that property might cash flow. So say you buy something today, your mortgage payment is $1,600 a month. When you go to rent it in 3 years, you could maybe rent it for $2,000 a month. Now you have $400 a month to put towards your, put towards your mortgage on your next house. That might be a little more expensive. So that's what I tell all my clients, because everyone's just waiting. And while you're waiting, you're filling your landlord's savings account and not your own.
We watched Mike Howell sent out, of Realty One Group Restore, sent this motivational video out this morning to kind of speak on that mindset. So many people we all see that just continue to wait. Mm-hmm. They're always looking. They want to do the things that they're not comfortable with doing, but they continue to wait to feel comfortable.
Yes.
Not knowing that feeling is never going to come.
Yes.
You're never going to sit there and just feel one, especially when it comes to purchasing something where you're financing $300,000, $400,000, $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
If it's the first time doing it, you're always going to have a little bit of a pit in your stomach. But you have to get out and do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more testament to you, because you did it and you left yourself. I mean, to put yourself in the position you were in, where right out of the gate something goes crazy, you're leaning on some credit cards.
Yeah.
But fortune favors the bold.
We'll also have a home inspection if you don't
Protect
have if you don't have a ton of money to spend on repairs. Make sure you're getting a house with a home inspection, so that you know what your repairs will be. But yeah.
So where did you start in real estate? Have you been with the same brokerage the whole time? Why did you pick that brokerage?
Yes. So I started with real estate with KW Philly on South Broad Street in Philadelphia in 2017. At that time, they were just building their new office. You guys were the in-house lenders. And you said, all the cool people are moving to this office. Join with these people, because this is going to be the cool new place to be. And I was like, well, that sounds great. So I have been with them ever since. I was a solo agent by myself for a year, worked with mostly buyers, and realized okay, if I'm going to grow in this business, I need to learn how to work the seller side too, because I really had no idea. So that is when I did a transaction with Jim Morano out of the Contra Hawk and Keller Williams office. We hit it off, just got along really well. He was join my team. I kept saying no because I'm stubborn and I wanted to do things on my own. But after a while, I was like, okay, this guy can teach me a lot. I should just probably join his team. So I was like, fine, I'll join your team, but I'm only going to do it for 1 year, because that's it. And then I ended up staying with him for 2 years, because I found a lot of value out of it. He found a lot of value out of it. It was it was a good relationship we had, because he had a lot of business in the city, but he didn't ever want to come to the city. So I got to act as his Philly agent while he stayed out in the suburbs. And then after that, I went solo. I said, Jim, it was great working with you, but in my gut, I always wanted to have my own team. I always wanted to have my own group. I wanted to have every transaction be handcrafted by me. So I wanted all my clients to get the same experience. I wanted it to be branded a certain way. I wanted the way we negotiate inspections to be the same way. I wanted our emails to be written the same way. I'm not type A, but I am type A.
That's your vision.
Yeah.
McDonald's it.
Yes. Yeah. I just really wanted things my way. So I left the team, I guess it was March of 2021. I hired my first marketing and operations person, Carly, she's the best, July of 2021. And then set myself a goal that I wanted to hire an agent to join me in 2022, which I did. Erica, she just joined my team a couple months ago. So that's where I'm at now, and it's great. I like to have a team. Real estate is a really, really lonely career. It stinks when you have a win, or you have something you need to complain about and you don't have anyone to complain about it or celebrate with.
It's not a team sport.
So I think it's me. I could have never stayed as an individual agent, just being okay, I sell houses and I might pay someone to do my transaction management. That is just no fun to me. So having a team now is super exciting. I love it.
And being the outsider looking in, again, having the working relationship we have here, I thought for you personally, the biggest takeaway from Jim was Adam.
Oh yeah.
Everything was, it's not to put a monetary
have a
value on the
system.
lesson you learned, but the systems that they had in place.
Yes. Yeah,
and
yeah.
realizing that if you had your own Adam, which is now Erica,
Yes.
or excuse me,
Carly.
Carly, all the other things you're able to just focus on just selling, which is your highest income producing activity,
Yeah.
as opposed to being tied up with the paperwork that comes with real
Yes,
estate.
yes. And also just realizing other people's, like your weaknesses are other people's strengths and vice versa. So like I know that I'm good at like meeting with people all day, like just juggling a bunch of plates in the air, calling people, texting people, just I guess sales, like which I don't count myself as a salesy person, but that's
you are.
what I do.
Yep, it's sales.
And Carly, like the thought of me when I needed to sit down and process my paperwork to get paid, like do a commission, I would let it hang over my head for like probably 2 weeks and just not do it because it was such a daunting task to me
It's tedious.
that it takes like 8 minutes. But for me, it would take like 2 weeks of me thinking about it. I would open the tab and then I'd forget. And then the next day I would open the tab and then I'd forget. Whereas like Carly's, she's just like, okay, click, it's done. And I'm like, I just can't do that. And for some reason I let those types of tasks hang over me. So having her has been great. Yeah. And just like, she's so like much more good at just like, this is a concrete task, I'll get it done. Whereas me, I'm just a lot all over the place.
So now with trying to scale your business, going from 1 to a team of 4
Yeah.
in a year,
Yeah.
what have you found to be the biggest challenges or obstacles with trying to build really build your own business?
Yeah. Letting go of stuff. I definitely could put more on other people, but there's just certain things where I'm like, no, it's okay, I'll do it. No, it's okay, I'll do it. Whereas I need to learn how to just be like, no, you can do this and you can do this. And same goes with, now that I have Erica on the team, I'm kind of sharing any incoming business that I get with her. So say a lead contacts me from online and is like, hey, I saw you online, I'd really love to work with you. I'm still kind of figuring out that transition to be like, hey, you can work with Erica on my team, because I don't want everyone to be like, no, I just want to work with you. So I'm still working on that because it's just a hard thing. So I'm also transitioning all my branding, whereas before I was like Jen Singley, realtor with the Home Sweet Home team. Now it's just like, this is the Home Sweet Home team. When you call us, you will get one of our very good agents, whether it's myself or whether it's Erica.
Do you discuss that with any of the people in your office that have built teams? Like, how did you go about?
Yes. So I have asked a bunch of the other team leaders, and they said that when people come to them and they're like, they want to make sure that somebody else on their team gets the business, they say, hey, this is so-and-so. They're going to be so much better at, working with you to buy your house in X neighborhood. So this is really who you need to work with. And I don't know why I have this fear that like someone will take that from me as a no and then like just go find someone.
Well, because I think people do feel that way. Like, you're big time in me. I'm not important enough of a client
I never
for you to work
want
with me,
to
so
do
you're
that.
handing me off.
No.
But it's also like it's also the only way to grow.
Yes. Yeah. So
None of those big time guys, the brokers, Noah, Sky, they don't get to where they are by just showing
Working with
places
every client.
every single day of the week.
yeah, but I also never want to, like, I never want to just be like, oh, I run a team, but I don't actually sell any houses.
Well, that's where I think the
like,
beauty
I feel
of
like you always need to be in the market.
That's the beauty
Yeah.
of what you just said, though, as far as you're now building Home Sweet Home as its own business.
Yes.
That you're not necessarily handing someone off. You've created this model and this work environment and this system that if you work with Home Sweet Home, this is the level of service you're going to be getting throughout the home buying or selling experience.
Yeah.
So what would you credit? I'm more interested in when you started. What do you think you credit the most to your early success? Because you really you started in 2017. So to be where you are in 5 years, the volume that you've done year over year after year, again, doing this as long as we work with our new agents, people don't just take off like that. So if you could single point one thing, what would you say that it would be? Maybe you don't have just one thing.
I would probably say social media has been super helpful.
Any particular outlet in social media of all the platforms?
Instagram for me has been great.
Okay.
So it's a kind of a hybrid of me just knowing a lot of people in Philly. Like if you live in Florida and you move to Philly and be a realtor and you post a lot on social media, you have a really good page, you're not necessarily going to get people to use you because nobody knows who you are. Like I went to Temple. My sister worked at a hair salon in Center City. So, you know, if people were talking about real estate in there, she'd always say, hey, here's my sister's business card. I waitressed at a couple of different places in Philly. So I knew a ton of people from there. I knew a ton of people from my old job. Just knowing people, making sure that, well, hoping they follow me on Instagram and they just get my content. So even if they're not buying now, if they're not buying in 2 years, 3 years, they know that I'm a realtor in their circle of, you know, 7 degrees of separation. Even if someone that doesn't know me, they know of me through somebody else. Hopefully they trust me so that when they do decide to make a real estate transaction, they do use me. And in the meantime, I really try to spew out a lot of like educational facts on real estate on my Instagram rather than just listed, just sold, look at all this business I'm doing. I really look at it from an educational standpoint, and I think that's what provides value to people and then causes them to continue following my page and then continues on to have them choose a Home Sweet Home team when they do eventually decide to make a real estate transaction.
I also think it's helped a lot of all the agents we work with. You're the only one who ever reached out and asked to make a continuous effort for the home buyer seminars. And we've had a lot of success with those seminars.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I didn't even mention that. Yeah.
But it speaks to you touching on what popped in my head was you
Yeah.
saying the education aspect.
Yeah.
And I think I'm surprised like no one else, because I think it's the effort. You put a lot of effort with that. The
Yes.
marketing goes into it, promoting
And
it.
it's consistency. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
doing
correct.
it 3 times, going, oh, this didn't work out that well, then you stop. Like
Yeah.
you just keep doing it again and again and again and again. It just eventually it works.
Well, that was, I like kind of as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big goal setter. I'm like, if I say I'm going to hire someone by this time, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to do this by this time. So I told myself in 2018, I said in 2019, I'm going to host one home buyer workshop every single month for the year of 2019, which was obviously in person. And we did host one every single month. You guys were there.
Current? That was the name of the place?
Current Cider, which
Current
is
Cider.
now Myers Brewing in Fishtown.
Okay.
And then we tried a couple in my office as well. So we switched venues a couple different times. But I believe out of 12, we had 3 where not a single soul signed up.
Yeah.
But the key is we still posted
Yeah.
a crap ton about it on
Yeah.
social media. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this.
We can curse on this.
This is a censored podcast.
This is unfiltered.
And I'd be like, you know, post a story and say, setting up for the home buyer workshop, so excited for this. And then like, you know, afterwards, I wouldn't really post anything else. And people would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I missed your workshop yesterday. Like, how was it? Oh, it was great. Good turnout.
Actually, I remember taking some photos of when you or myself was up there speaking.
Yeah.
They have no clue that no one was in there.
Honestly. So the fact that people knew that I did these monthly are like, wow, Jen is the first-time home buyer gal.
Yeah,
like, if
yeah,
I'm a
yep.
first-time home buyer,
Yep.
I would be silly to go to
Sign
anyone
up.
else. And that's simply because I hosted these every month. And you know what? If not a single soul shows up for 3 out of 12 months, whatever.
Yeah. Even if you have 20 people come between all 12 events
Yeah.
and 5 of them buy houses,
Yeah.
it's worth your time to
It
do
is.
that.
It is. And I mean, as you guys know, every time we host them, you feel so good afterwards.
Yeah.
The question, well, mostly when people are engaging, the ones where we just talk at people and then that's it, no one asks any questions, it's a little bit different. But I know my cup is full after home buyer workshops because people ask you questions. They get an opportunity to ask questions that they don't really know who they can ask these questions to other times. And I know we get questions about credit scores and about buying with their partner if they're not yet married, and just all these kind of weird, quirky questions that when else do you have an open forum to ask professionals about them?
And it's concentrated answers. It's not posting it to a blog or something else where you're getting a million different people who more times than not aren't even qualified.
Yeah.
They're chiming in with their 2 cents on the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really love the ones, and I do. We do them on Zoom now. Obviously, since the pandemic, we're gonna start them again this fall in person. But I really do. The in-person ones are great, just because you can make a little bit better of a connection with people, and I know the ones on Zoom, people are probably like cooking dinner and just listening, but even if they do that, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's still taking something away from
Exactly.
it. So if I'm a brand new agent and I come to you and I say I want to join Home Sweet Home PHL,
Mm-hmm.
I just got my license, what's the first thing you're having me do to start me on the path towards becoming a successful realtor?
And you got your license already?
I am licensed. I'm on the job day one.
Yeah.
Put me to work.
Okay, I'm making you make all of your pages online. Like we're making you a Zillow page, a Google business page, a realtor.com page, this, that. Because there are so many realtors that you can't even look up.
Can't find them.
Can't find them. So now when we have a Zillow lead come in and I say, okay, Erica, go meet with the Zillow lead's like, wow, I really like this girl. But they go home and Google her and there's not a single page to be found or anything to be found regarding her qualifications. It's kind of like, is this person real? You know what I mean? I just feel like in today's day and age, you get Googled all the time.
Social proof.
Yes. So yeah, that was like one of the first things I had to do is just make all your pages, make sure all your pages are updated, say that you're a real estate agent with KW Philly and Home Sweet Home team, because that's like the number one thing. Then start slowly posting to your social media pages, just so you know, friends and family. I'm a realtor now. I'm also backed by a team with over 5 years of experience, so no need to worry that I just got licensed. Every transaction that you don't have to post this, but like basically so everyone knows, like I'm overseeing all of her transactions. So it's not like you're just using a new agent who just got licensed and is like, oh, cool. It's being backed with experience and things are going to be done correctly, on time, very smoothly, so we can all enjoy our home buying process.
Did you ever utilize that when you were working with Jim? Did you let people know?
Oh my God, yeah. Because people always think I'm younger than I am. I'm 31. But people are always like, oh, wow, you're young. Wow, you must.
But that would only make you 26 when you started.
But still. So then I'd be like, yes, but I'm on a team with Jim Morano. He's got 15 years of experience. All of my transactions, he's copied on all my emails and he oversees everything that's done. So if you want to look at his reviews online, he has even more than me. I have 20, but he's probably got 100. And the same thing goes with Erica now. Like if you look her up, her first couple deals were rentals, and I said to her, ask all of your rental clients for reviews. Just because they didn't buy or sell doesn't mean you didn't provide them with great service. So I think she already has 2 reviews. She has her first settlement tomorrow, and just keep getting those reviews so that when you get Googled, your qualifications look better than another agent's qualifications.
And just to that point, who cares if it's rentals? People want to see reviews.
Yes.
So if you go on and you Google someone and they have 50 reviews, you're going to trust that person more than if they have a 3 review or none.
Yeah. So that's really
social proof.
Yeah,
social proof. That's what our producer Jordan's always telling us.
That's everything today, honestly. If you get Googled and nothing comes up,
you're cooked.
Yeah. Unless you have a really, really good personal referral from someone else.
Then you got to be purely based on word of mouth.
Exactly, which no one really does.
Tough. No, I think we talk all the time, but it's what's starting all of us trying to do this more.
Yeah.
As you've noticed, right? Our whole career, nothing social media. Now we're trying to really dive deep into it because word of mouth has been tremendous for us.
Yeah.
But if you can compound the two, the social media you may have initially gotten through social media, how many other clients did you get? Not because they found you on social media, but because they went in, they talked about how great you were at work.
Yes, yep.
Or their axe throwing lead.
Yep.
Or whatever the case may be. So word of mouth is always going to be powerful, but it's incredible to have this base to start out with.
I forgot about the axe throwing.
Yeah.
That's what went in my head when you asked about success. And I think it's social media, but I think you're just a social person. You talk to anybody and everybody. And when you can take that and then put it on social media so that all those people that you know are constantly reminded of what you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
also let it be known that I do not jam it down to people's throat that I do real estate. I purposely made a separate real estate Instagram so that people were like, if you don't want to see my real estate stuff, you don't have to.
Well, I was thinking that's important because anything, again, as we're researching people want to see your personal life too. They don't just want to see posting flyers or nonsense.
Yes, because I know I get annoyed when I have friends or whatever that do something or sell something that I know I might not ever be interested in. So I don't ever want to just shove something at people all the time. Houses. You gotta buy a house. Look at this one I sold. Look at that one I sold. I never want to be that person. I know I kind of am, but I don't want it to be the only thing that I'm known for, because there are other things about me besides being in real estate, So.
Have you had, this market as being as difficult as it is, have you had clients reaching out to you just to gauge your interest more this year than you've had in years past?
What do you mean?
For updates on Jen, what's going on? All I'm hearing from my coworkers or colleagues is just how crazy it is out there.
No, and I wish more people would. Because I feel like people read the news and just like take it, and then they're like, oh, well, yep, the market's bad right now. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Well, I think it's also because the geographic area that you have focused on at this point, it's totally different in the city.
Yeah, the city and the suburbs are two different markets. Working in both is good because I can kind of learn the nuances of each. And there's so many people who move between the city and suburbs. So it's really, I think it's a good idea to be in tune with both. But yeah, no, not that many people reach out to me and ask me questions about real estate. And I wish more people would. Every once in a while I'll get something. They're like, so sorry for bothering you. I'm like, this is not bothering me. I like talking about this. Yeah.
It's your job.
You do.
Yeah.
So if I could.
No, please.
With knowing we were having you on here this week, I had done some research and looked up some frequently asked questions for realtors when you were being interviewed by clients to use you. So I wanted to throw them at you.
Great. Here we go.
See your responses, right? So the number one asked question was, how long have you been in the business and what is your sales volume?
Oh, God. I'm not a stats person. Like, I really never know my stats. I can look it up quick. I've been in the business for 5 years. And
what do they want to know? They want to know total volume? Like how your career volume?
I mean, I take this as probably, like your most recent year, right? I feel like when anyone talks about volume, they're just going off of what you've done recently.
So but then you have the other agents who talk about they've done over 100 million in
in volume. Also, those are 5 years. That also, so give us both.
I don't even have this stuff readily available.
Throwing you on the hot seat.
I'm just someone who I put my head down and work. I don't look at
your numbers
too frequently. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
We can move to the next question.
Yeah,
that's okay.
5 years in the business.
Yeah,
that's
5 years in the business. I have a goal for my team to sell 30 million this year.
Okay.
We might be. I think last I checked,
You got to be tracking that.
Yeah, we were probably at like 12 or 15 between buy and sell side.
Because you've also, not to throw you off track here, we'll get back here on the questions, but I think you've seen such, correct me if I'm wrong, an uptick in the listing side of your business, and this year in particular.
Yes.
Like I keep seeing your emails, new listing, new
Yes.
listing, which in years past I haven't necessarily seen that. But I think it's also testament to anyone we spoke to. It's whether you're in any new career, 5 years is kind of your breaking point, or you're going to make it or break it. I think you're seeing now the fruit of your labor from earlier in your career. Where and outside of just previous clients, but now your name is gaining traction and you're starting to pick up more and more on the listing side.
Well, I also physically could not have sold any more real estate than I did last year if I only was on the buy side. Because I strictly do not have any more night and weekend hours. If more people looked at houses during the day, definitely. But because 90% of my clients need to see homes nights and weekends, I couldn't have sold any more real estate on the buyer side because I did not have any more night and weekend hours.
There's only one of you.
Yes. Which is why now there's two of me. And now I can also sell listings, which a lot of times sellers can meet with you during the day, which is great. Just because, the nights and weekend hours are really saved for my buyer clients. Yeah.
And with the listings you have gotten this year, do you find you are on the side of it's yours for the taking, or you are going in and interviewing for that listing?
Most have been referrals for me. So most have either been past clients who knew that they liked me on the buy side, so I'll probably do good on the listing side as well, and or just people who referred me and said, hey, Jen's a good agent. I'd recommend her. They look me up online, they see I'm credible, and then they use me. So I thankfully have not had to interview against very many agents. That day will come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Second most asked question, and again, this is from the standpoint of the client.
Okay.
How will you communicate with me, and how often?
Oh, I will communicate with you whatever your preference is. So that's actually a question that I also talk to my clients about early on in the process. I prefer email. Oftentimes I'm driving, so if you text me and I'm driving, I get to my appointment, I leave my appointment, I get home, I look at my emails first before I go back on my texts on my phone. So I always tell my clients, like, you'll probably get an email from me at 10 at night if you text me at 6 p.m. rather than if you text me at 6 p.m. I might not text you till the next morning because
it's your system.
I've just been running around.
Yep.
And they don't have the mark as unread feature in text yet. So I will normally say
My
I
biggest
prefer
problem.
email.
Yeah, get working on it, Tim Cook.
Yes. I prefer email, but I always ask the client, hey, how do you prefer to be contacted, and do what they want. I've been working with a lot of older sellers recently, like elderly. They all do phone calls only, so been on the phone a lot lately. So it really depends on like how the client is and what their preference is, because
Okay.
I will mirror what they like. And how frequently is also based on their preferences. Do you want weekly updates if there's nothing going on, or do you not? Obviously on the sell side, I give weekly updates no matter what. Hey, we had 3 showings last week. Here's the feedback. On the buy side, I communicate when anything needs to be communicated.
Updates.
I also think it helps on the buy side that you work with probably the top lender, maybe
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
East Coast,
Yeah, the top.
And, he's also very good at communicating.
Yes. So yeah, but I know some realtors just like text with their clients all day long about like, oh, did you see this funny picture and this and that.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, I keep a pretty professional
Yeah.
relationship with my clients. Also, if I was texting with all my clients as if they were friends, like I'd be texting all day. I don't really like texting.
It's healthy
all
to
day.
keep the balance.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yeah. So yeah, I mirror how they want to be communicated, and I communicate when necessary.
Okay. Now this is moving to the sell side.
Yep.
And again, we can kind of, rephrase this, however, but the number one asked question is, what price would you recommend if I were in a rush to sell and if timing were no issue? So obviously that's, property specific, but how would you say you would gauge answering those questions, if you knew the actual, value?
Praise that. Yeah, what
Sure.
it was worth. Yeah.
So when I first meet a client, I will always give them a range. So I'll meet a client, they'll tell me all about their house, we'll do the walkthrough. When I get home, I'll say, hey, based upon the comp sold in your neighborhood, we should sell between this price and this price. We will not determine the price at which we go live with until that week, because as we all see, the market changes every single week, depending on rates, depending on, did 5 other people on your block just list and beat you to it? Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So I will always give a range. Obviously, if it's in like a lower price point, it's normally like within 10 grand. If it's in a higher price point, it might be within, like just today I sent someone, hey, we should price somewhere between 425 and 450. They want to sell quickly, so they said, let's do 429.9. I was like, perfect. We're listing next week, so we can pretty much say like not much is going to change between now and next week, so we're going to go with 429.
So what is your philosophy on that? Because I feel like I've also heard that from a number of agents on, you're given a range of 425 and 450,
Yeah.
right? But the home, you comp it out, it might be 420,
Yeah.
right? So are you on the side of, we're going to list it appropriately and try to, use this now to
Yes.
build up a bidding war?
Yes.
Or are we going to go at the high side and then do a price drop?
Always listed
10 days.
appropriately, if not a little bit under. So when I gave her the range of 425 to 450 and she was cool 429.9, I was like, yes. If she said no, I think my house is worth 475. The young me would have said, okay, that sounds good, we'll list it. The more experienced me will say, I highly advise you not to list it at that price, and if you'd like to overprice your house, I'm not the agent for you. Because I'm not going to spend thousands of my own dollars on marketing and hours and hours of my time and my team's time and open houses and email blasts and flyers in the neighborhood and everything to try to sell your house at a price that I know it will not sell at.
Yep.
And then it also makes me look bad because your days on market is going to be like 120.
It's very true.
So,
well, that actually kind of goes in with the second question, which is, what is your marketing game plan? So when you get a listing, what do you do to sell it?
oh, me and Carly have a really nice system worked out for this. Because I love systems. So we used to do it in a spreadsheet, and now we use Monday.com to kind of streamline everything. So when we have a new listing, it's basically I submit it and we say, okay, does this one warrant both pictures and a video or just pictures. So if it's a nicer house, we'll typically do pictures and a video. We'll always do an Instagram post. We'll always do an email marketing blast on our MailChimp. And then sometimes we'll do just listed postcards too, to send out to all the neighbors as well.
Okay.
And those have been pretty good. They don't necessarily help with selling the home, but they help with letting people know I'm a local realtor. So part of it's selling the house, but the other half of it is kind of just advertising, hey, we sell in your neighborhood if you want a realtor, we're here.
Knowledge of the market.
Yes. And then if the seller wants, we'll do an open house. A lot of people think that open houses sell houses. They don't. An open house is really a lot of
They still think that?
Yeah, from open houses, what I've learned, a lot of the people that come through are neighbors who are nosy. A lot of the people who come through are clients who have a realtor, but the realtor's busy that weekend, so they go to the open house instead. And I will say I'm guilty on the buy side. If my client says, hey, can I see a house on Saturday, but I'm out of town, I'll say, I can't meet you, but there's an open house. You can go ahead. Or I can meet you Monday night. You know what I mean? I'll have an open house. But again, open houses are just another touch point. It's almost the same as hosting like an homebuyer workshop. It's something to post about. It's, hey, we're having this big open house with mimosas surrounding our really, really cool listing.
Yep.
So even if our listing isn't really, really cool, people are seeing us post about it and are aware of it. Lastly, I will always try to prospect, especially if it's a neighborhood that I work in a lot, prospect other agents that I know do business in that neighborhood to say, hey, I know you typically have clients in the Northern Liberties area. I just listed this house. Make sure you bring your client through. Because so much of real estate is the agent-to-agent relationship, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. And I didn't realize that early in the business either. I would always be like, why do I need a network with other realtors? Like, they're not going to help me grow my business, but they really do. Even today, I had an agent leave feedback on one of my listings, and they were like, oh, we don't like this house for XYZ reason. I'm like, okay, well, I have another listing. It's 6 blocks away. It's a little bit different. Take a look at it. Oh, is it coming soon? No, it's been on the market for 3 weeks. Sometimes people just literally don't look at it until you call them and put it in front of them, send them the Zillow link so they can scroll through the pictures. So I do a lot of agent-to-agent outreach for any listing that I get.
You're literally answering these things as we go along.
Okay.
Now so you already told me what your marketing game plan was partly before we moved on to that one. Now the third most asked question is, how will my home be introduced to other realtors?
Yeah. So I will text them. I know.
She's like, she's read this one.
Yeah. It is also very, very nice being in the business for 5 years now, because you have a little bit more credibility towards other agents. You have the relationship if you've done a deal with them before. Even with Erica joining my new team, she'll be like, oh, I have an offer in on this place with this agent. And I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. I go to happy hour with them. Like, we did this volunteer event together before. So then I'll side text the agent and be like, hey, Erica's on my team. You know that the transaction is going to go really smoothly if you take her offer instead of another client, another agent's offer. So it's huge.
And that's so much to me with this business. I guess really any line of work, but in real estate specifically, you have 5 years experience, but how many reps have you gotten in those 5 years because you're successful?
Yeah.
Versus you could be working with an agent that's been in the business 20 years and done less transactions than you've done in 5.
Yes, yeah.
So the amount of time you've been in the business doesn't necessarily mean you're more, you have more expertise than an individual who's been in only a handful of years.
Exactly.
Now, moving to the buyer side, one of the top questions, how will you present my offer to the sellers?
Ooh. I've got a template for that. Come on. So I have a template that I send every single time. So I was only on the buy side for the first 2 or 3 years. So I only knew how I sent offers. Now that I've been on the list side, I didn't realize how some people just send it over really sloppy. Like, they'll send it directly from DocuSign with no context. And I'll have 6 different emails of single DocuSign documents. And then a random pre-approval that comes 2 hours later. And it's just so annoying to me. I'm like, I don't even want to work with this agent because
organize.
If this is how it's going to be, I don't love it. So my offer is always, hi agent, thanks so much for letting us tour this home. See attached for my client's offer and supporting documents, and see below for a quick summary. So I attach all my documents and I make sure I have everything they need, the BFI, the pre-approval, the agreement of sale, the seller's disclosure, the deposit money notice. Oftentimes we write a letter to seller if it's a competitive bid, and signed loan estimate. So they have 7 documents from me. And then I also give a nice bullet point list. Hey, we're offering 400, escalating to 431.
The cliff notes.
Yep, 5K deposit in 3 days, 15K deposit in 14 days, waiving inspections, or maybe I'll say home inspections for informational purposes only within 3 days, letter to seller attached. So I'll let them know, like, hey, this is what you're getting, because they're going to have to bullet point out, if say they have 6 offers, they're going to be doing that exact same thing when they present it to the seller.
Yeah.
So I just
do it for them.
Yeah, did it for them. And I've gotten a lot of compliments on the way I present my offers. So
Helps them get them accepted.
yes, yep. And then the hard part is the fine line between bothering the listing agent and not bothering them. So that's always the thing is, so say I send that at like noon, and I always in bold italics, please confirm receipt of this offer. Thanks so much. Because I would just die if I found out offers were presented at 5 and for some reason they didn't get
Sitting in
mine.
your
Yeah.
outbox.
So say I send it at noon and I know they're presenting at 5 or offer deadline's 5. I'm calling you at 4:30 as many times as I need to make sure that you receive the offer. You should have, replied and said received, but
Yep.
if you didn't, I'm calling you. But also some agents are like, don't call me. I'm so busy. I have 40 other agents calling me. So it's really a balance of staying in contact with the agent, but not bothering them.
Okay.
It's a hard dance, but that's how I present my offers.
How would you help navigate a potential bidding war?
Hopefully an escalation addendum if we can. So an escalation addendum, for those of you listening who don't know, is say the house is listed at, and we'll use this again, 400, and I looked at comps and I feel comfortable, hey, you could probably go up to 415 without having any appraisal issues, hopefully. We'll say, hey, we're offering 400 and we'll pay $3,000 over the next highest offer up to 415. And that means that if another client bids 410, your offer escalates to 413 and you get the house, pending all the other terms of the contract are similar. So an escalation addendum is hopefully, the number one key to a bidding war. Some listing agents don't allow that, and that's always super stressful because then you just have to but you're basically just like throwing a number out there and hoping that it sticks. And then also, I love the personalized letter. Again, some agents don't let you submit your offer with a personalized letter, but I've had them win bidding wars because they found out, oh, my kids go to the same elementary school, or, oh, you're a social worker, I'm also a social worker. And although my client might not have had the highest or strongest offer, their letter has won them the house. And
Yeah, they connect.
I always think that to me is so crazy that an individual will take $5, $10, $15, $20,000 less because it's almost like, I almost feel if I'm a seller, I've let the buyer win because you've out negotiated me by pulling on my heartstrings.
oh my God, no.
More than it just being, it's an asset.
No way.
I'm selling to the highest bidder. Move on.
No.
But people get so much sentimental attachment to their, I raised my kids in this. I wanted to go to another home where they can raise their kids in it. I just can't relate to that. Maybe I'm crazy. I just can't. I'm not leaving $25,000, $30,000 on the table.
Okay, well we're not talking about. We're talking about like
I've had that happen. I've had a client tell me they took $30,000 less because it was that important that they raised a family in their house after they moved out.
Okay, that's a lot. I will see it maybe with like a $5,000 differentiation, but not like $30,000.
Okay.
How often are you writing in appraisal gaps?
Oh, not actually that often. I don't love.
Okay.
Well, I also don't work in the suburbs all
I would say the
time.
market's also totally
that's true.
different in the
So-
city.
I feel like you need them in the suburbs.
You need them.
Should we explain what the appraisal gap is? So
Please.
basically, in this market, homes aren't appraising for what people are offering. So using the same example, we put an offer at $400,000, it appraises for $375,000. What sellers want nowadays is for you to tell them ahead of time, if it doesn't appraise, I will pay any amount of difference in the appraised value, which means you have to bring an extra $25,000 out of pocket. I don't love doing that because I don't love my clients overpaying for houses. Now, if it's a client who comes to me and says, this is my forever home, I plan to be here for at least at least 5, 10, 15 plus years, go ahead, pay $5,000 of the appraisal gap, pay $10,000, but like
Minimal amounts.
Yeah, but like any more than like if it's for your forever home and you're gonna overpay by $15,000 today, that's gonna literally mean nothing in 30 years when you're still living there. But if there's a possibility that you might move out, you know, in 3 to 5 years, like do not overpay the appraised value of this house. So I really don't do it a ton. Maybe like the max I think I've had clients pay over the appraised value is $10,000.
And that's just it. The average person sells their home and moves it every 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So even the majority of people, you know, that what does that say? That says even the people that say they're going to be here forever aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most people, I don't believe the mass majority are going into home buying saying this is a 5-year home.
I never want that call from someone in 3 years who might have overpaid for their house today that says, hey, I have to sell. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me run your estimated net sheet. And it's like, oh, you have a loss on your house. I don't ever want that
Conversation
call.
you want to avoid.
I don't ever want that call. And if I do get that call, I feel like I would just be like, I'll sell your house for free because I can't, like, I helped you made a bad decision 3 years ago. And
but if you are advising someone not to, and they do it anyways.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. But yeah, I try to advise people not to overpay for houses. So I really like a fair deal between the buyer and seller. I love a good fair deal where it's a win-win for everyone.
Personal future goals when it comes to real estate, not necessarily on the realtor side. What are your own personal? Do you have personal financial goals as far as continuing to purchase real estate? Do you not want to continue to purchase real estate?
Yes, I'd like to buy a Poconos Airbnb in the near future. So that's my next goal.
That's the next goal.
That's the next goal on the horizon. Partly to use and go skiing, partly to generate income. But hopefully it generates income, and then I can also use it to ski, you know, have somewhere to sleep for free when I'm skiing. So that's first and foremost.
Now, any reason over, I don't mean to cut you off, but any reason the Poconos over Beach House?
Way lower barrier to entry.
Okay.
You can get a really nice Poconos house for like $350, $400, whereas if you're going to the shore, you're looking at least.
Remove that. What would you pick?
Oh. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm hoping that a family member soon buys a beach house and I don't have to worry about it. But I'm going Poconos house first for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any final messages for any clients or I guess let's focus on the clients. Any clients that may be listening in?
Oh, final messages.
In this market, any words of advice or anything you got? Don't
wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. I'll say it once and I'll say it again.
I like that.
It's a quote from somebody famous. I should give credit. I forget who said it, but every day I think about it because every day I think about, like, you know, besides replacing the roof and the gas lines on my first house, which is maybe $2,500 in total. I bought that like I just always think about my first house. I bought it for $215 or $220, and now I could sell it as is. Haven't renovated the kitchen. Haven't added central AC. I did do I also do a small bathroom renovation.
That was minor.
Yeah, it was minor. But yeah, I could sell it for $100,000 more at least.
In 5 years.
In 5 years.
Where else are you getting that type of return?
For doing barely anything.
Yep. With what, 3.5% down?
With 3.5% down. I think all in, because I got seller's assist, that was $8,000 out of pocket.
Yeah.
So an $8,000 investment 5 years ago. Let's add in the, you know, repair costs and stuff over the years. So let's say $14,000 all in will now yield me. I could probably sell it and get $100,000 out of that.
So don't wait and buy real estate.
No, don't wait to buy real estate.
Don't wait to buy real estate.
Buy real estate and wait. Yeah.
All right. I think we'll leave it at that. Well, Jen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the information. Hope you guys all enjoyed it as well. Please click the link below, like and subscribe.